Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing the play by William Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice. We are going to look at the plot of the play. We are going to look at the summary and we are going to analyze the plot in detail. At the beginning of the play, we saw a character called Antonio. Antonio is an anti-Semitic merchant and he takes a loan from the Jewish Shylock to help his friend Bassanio to court a wealthy woman called Portia. So Antonio couldn't repay the loan, and without mercy, Shylock demands a pound of his flesh. So the Portia, who later became the wife of Bassanio, disguised as a lawyer and was able to save the life of Antonio. Now we are going to be discussing the play in detail, act by act and scene by scene. Okay, so let's look at one. Let's look at Act 1. So in Act 1, that is at the beginning of the play, in Venice, a merchant named Antonio worries that his ship are overdue because he was expecting some goods from overseas. So, as his colleague offered comfort, some of his friends came. The friends are Bassanio, Graziano, and Lorenzo. So, Bassanio asked Antonio for a loan so that he can be able to pursue the wealthy woman Portia. And the woman lives in Beaumont. So, Antonio could not afford the loan. Instead, he sent Bassanio to borrow the money on the security of Antonio's expected shipment. So, at Beaumont, so the next scene, at Beaumont, Portia, which Bassanio want to borrow money to court, and her maid Nerissa discuss the suitors who have come in response to Portia's father's strange will. So the will says Portia may only marry a man who chooses the correct casket made from 3 possible options, which are gold, silver, and lead. So much to Portia's distress, all her suitors are unsatisfactory with this will, and several of them chose the wrong casket. The Prince of Morocco chose gold. The Prince of Aragon chose silver. All these are wrong caskets. So, Portia was worried, but he still has some hope that Bassanio may choose the correct one. So, Bassanio approaches Shylock, a Jewish money lender, and talk to him about the loan. So, and Shylock accepted to offer the loan, but he says that the agreement is that if Bassanio refuses to pay the loan, the pound of flesh of Antonio will be the repayment. So the bond is agreed to, and Bassanio prepared to leave for Beaumont with his friend Graziano. So in Act 2, we saw that one of Shylock's servants, Lancelot, wishes to change masters and persuade Bassanio to employ him. Also, Shylock's daughter Jessica longed to leave home. She wanted to become a Christian and marry Antonio's friend Lorenzo. So before Lancelot depart to serve his new master, Lancelot take a letter to Lorenzo that contains plans for Lorenzo and Jessica to elope that night. So when Shylock goes out, Jessica escaped to elope, taking gold and jewels with her. The following day, Bassanio set sail for Beaumont, while Shylock rages over the loss of his daughter and the treasures that his daughter have stolen. So in Beaumont, one of Portia's suitors, the Prince of Morocco, chooses golden casket, while the another suitor, which is Prince of Aragon, selects silver. I told you both of them lost because both silver and gold are not the correct casket. So, as Aragon leaves Beaumont, Bassanio is announced, and Portia eagerly goes to greet Bassanio. So Portia was happy that Bassanio have arrived Beaumont and was hoping that Bassanio will be able to choose the correct casket. So in Act 3, after Shylock hears that his daughter Jessica is squandering her stolen wealth in Genoa, so Shylock begins to rail bitterly against Christians because Shylock hates Christians bitterly and does not want to associate with them. He has been warning his daughter Jessica not to have anything to do with Christians. So out of that rage, he reminds Bassanio, which is Antonio's friend, that if the loan is not repaid on time, he will insist on the original agreement of 1 pound of flesh of Antonio. So in Beaumont, Bassanio chooses the lead casket, and in so doing, he wins Portia because he has chosen the correct casket. So his friend Graziano asks for Portia's maid hand in marriage. The Portia's maid is Nerissa. So Portia also agreed to give his maid to Lorenzo. So Portia gives her ring to Bassanio, making him promise never to give it to another woman. So as Lorenzo and Jessica came to Beaumont, news arrived that Antonio's shipment have lost at sea, which is the bond. The shipment is the bond because Antonio was hoping that he will use proceed from the shipment of his goods to repay Shylock the loan which Bassanio took. So when it was lost in the sea and Antonio became bankrupt, Shylock still insisted on his prepayment. So they also told Shylock, and they told Shylock, and Shylock insisted on fulfillment of the bond, and he had Antonio arrested. So Bassanio and his friend Graziano leave Beaumont in haste to help Antonio. Now, in that process, Portia and her servant Nerissa resolved to follow afterward, and they disguised themselves as lawyers. So, Act 4 opens in the court in Venice. So, Shylock demands his pound of flesh. The Duke presiding over the court seek legal advice from the lawyers in the court. The lawyers in the court is Balthazar, which is Portia disguised herself as a man, and her servant Nerissa. So Portia pleads, but Portia is Balthazar in the court. So Portia pleads for Shylock to have mercy on Antonio, but Shylock refused. Bassanio offers his wife money, which will more than pay the debt, but Shylock refuses to accept. He wants the money from Antonio. So Antonio's death is only prevented as Balthazar explains the bond is for flesh, but not for a single drop of blood. Now, Balthazar was able to skillfully argue the case in the court and says that, okay, the agreement was for the pound of flesh of Antonio. Now, if Shylock is to cut the flesh of Antonio, a single blood must not drop. So, Balthazar told Shylock to collect his pound of flesh from Antonio, but he should make sure no single blood drop. So Shylock was confused, Shylock was worried, and he leaves court in shame. So Bassanio and his friend Graziano thank the lawyers, and the lawyers ask for their rings. Note that when Bassanio got the correct casket, Portia gave her ring to Bassanio and insisted that that ring should not be given to any woman. Now, after Balthazar, who is Portia in disguise, won the case, he now insisted that the ring should be given to her. In the court is him because he disguised as a man. So Bassanio doesn't want to do it, but he must do it because that is the only thing the lawyers requested for as their legal fee. So it was very strange situation, and Bassanio doesn't know what to do. So at 5, Portia, who disguised as Balthazar, and her servant return home at night to Beaumont and find Lorenzo and Jessica. Note that Jessica is the daughter of Shylock. Jessica and Lorenzo were enjoying themselves in Beaumont. So when Bassanio and Graziano came from Venice to Beaumont, the wife, Portia, demanded for the ring, to see the ring. Now, Bassanio doesn't have the ring. He doesn't know how to explain to his wife because he has given the ring as legal fee in Venice. Now, it becomes a problem. Nerissa scolded Graziano for giving out the ring. Also, Portia scolded Bassanio for giving out the ring to another woman as legal fee. Note that Nerissa and Portia are the same lawyer that represented Bassanio and Graziano in the court. Okay? So, after scolding them, they now reveal their real identity that the Balthazar in the court is Portia and the second lawyer is Nerissa. So, when they reveal it to Bassanio and Graziano, they were so happy that the ring did not lost anyway. It was given to lawyer who is really Portia. So the play ends happily. Lorenzo and Jessica getting married. Nerissa and Graziano are married. Portia and Bassanio are married. Then it was really, really sad for Shylock. In fact, part of the properties of Shylock were taken because he threatened the Veneto. So at the end, the play ends as the three couples prepared to celebrate their marriages. Okay? So in our subsequent video, we'll be discussing the themes in the play as well as the characters and characterization. Please subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you get notified when other videos on the Merchant of Venice are uploaded, and we are uploading other videos on other plays, novels and poems as well. Thank you. Have a great day.